Hello, my name is Anneshia Freeman. I'm also known as the Locksmith because I make keys for locks in the mind. I'm a master's level therapist, and my specialty is cognitive restructuring, meaning I introduce people to dysfunctional, unconscious beliefs that make decisions for them without their conscious awareness. I also provide people with tools to help them reprogram their minds with functional beliefs. Welcome to my podcast, Improving Productivity by Decreasing the Time Spent Navigating Lawsuits. This podcast is for managers, supervisors, and leaders, but anyone can benefit from the information. How will we improve productivity by decreasing the time spent navigating lawsuits? By addressing dysfunctional, unconscious beliefs that can get a company or an organization or a city sued. A little about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in business. I have a master's degree in business administration. I have a master's degree in social work. I was the personal assistant to the Honorable Reverend George K. Hartwell for 3 years. He was the director of the Community Leadership Institute, and he was also the mayor of Grand Rapids at the time. Mr. Hartwell was a phenomenal, or should I say Reverend Hartwell, he was a phenomenal leader, still is, even though he's retired. So I got to observe an awesome leader up close and personal. I've got to see him direct traffic for 3 years. My specialty, as I said earlier, is cognitive restructuring, and I'm the creator of an award-winning program entitled The Lies That Bind. My work has been featured on the PBS show Inner Compass, and I've been the clinical director at 2 organizations, so I've served in leadership positions. I've also served on various community boards and committees. Whenever you watch my podcast, I use certain terms interchangeably. So if you hear me use the terms issues, unaddressed issues, lies, I'm referring to dysfunctional, unconscious beliefs that cause people to engage in self-defeating behaviors repeatedly despite the consequences. Most of these beliefs are programmed into people's minds during the formative years. I say most because there's always exceptions to the rule. These beliefs are programmed into people's minds by how they're treated and by what they observe. Some beliefs act as a landing pad that flag in other dysfunctional beliefs. So that's the third way the beliefs are implanted into people's minds. Most of these beliefs are antithetical. They're the opposite to how people consciously think. I say most because people who struggle with perfectionism, to a certain extent, they may be aware of the belief you have to get it right the first time, but they may not be aware of the impact, the how deep they say the rabbit hole goes. For example, they wouldn't hire a novice interior designer for their penthouse apartment, but they put that unrealistic expectation on themselves to get it right the first time. That belief tells them you're not eligible for the learning curve like other people. You don't have a right to be a novice and grow and develop over time. People who struggle with unconscious belief that falls under the umbrella of people pleasing, they may not be aware of the belief your value as a person is dependent upon the approval of others. It's hard to fight an invisible enemy. That's the power of the unconscious mind. Freud's theory is that you need to bring the information in people's unconscious minds to their conscious awareness to help them improve. I believe in his theory. I just have different techniques. So let's get back to our topic today. How will we keep the company from getting sued? Well, by addressing an unconscious belief that is famous for getting people sued, getting companies and people sued. The belief is certain people are not entitled to the same rights, opportunities, and privileges as you are. Now, some people consciously think like that, but a lot of people, especially in the professional arena, who are afflicted by this belief, they will articulate the opposite. They may even be on the diversity committee. This, for those individuals, is an unconscious belief. People afflicted by this belief expect individuals to accept discriminatory policies, practices, and procedures. They expect people to act as if the discriminatory policies, practices, and procedures don't exist, which is another dysfunctional unconscious belief. You can do anything you want to people and act like it never happened, and they are obligated to believe you because you said so. These beliefs are unconscious. There's a lot of beliefs that can get a company or organization or a city sued. On my podcast, I just tell you about one dysfunctional unconscious belief. I have a set of 100 commonly seen dysfunctional unconscious victim-based beliefs. There's a set of one of my cards, and a set of 100 commonly seen dysfunctional unconscious villain-based beliefs. The belief we're talking about today is in the red set. It's a villain-based belief. Gets your company sued. Feel free to call me. I do trainings, all day trainings. Call me, email me. I'll give you my contact information at the end of this podcast. Call me. I can help you. People who are afflicted by this belief expect individuals to act as if they don't believe they are entitled to certain rights, opportunities, and privileges as other people are, or they are violating an unspoken code of conduct. They have the attitude, how dare you act as if you're supposed to be treated with dignity and respect. They expect people to act as if they don't know the law or as if they don't know they have rights. So, but there's a way out. There's a way out. You can stop getting your company sued repeatedly. So Dr. R. Joseph, who's a noted expert in the fields of neuroscience and psychology, he's my favorite expert. He says the way out for people who were raised in environments in which the type of beliefs that we talk about on these podcasts are instilled, he says there's a way out. They have to be able to recognize the maladaptive, self-destructive patterns they've been engaging in. He said it would be very difficult for them to change their behavior if they cannot recognize it so as to avoid it. So for the belief that we're talking about today, people who are afflicted by this belief, certain people are not entitled to the same rights, opportunities, and privileges as you are. They need to become aware of that cognitive distortion. They can't stop obeying the behaviors or the directives of the belief if they're not aware of it. Dr. Joseph says they also have to become acquainted with the alternatives, an alternative belief or belief system, and the behaviors, the alternative behaviors associated with more functional beliefs. So here's a functional belief that addresses the dysfunctional one we're talking about today. This is the United States. The Declaration of Independence states that all people are created equal. All people have not been treated equally, but laws are continuing to be made that protect people who are being marginalized. In the professional arena, companies are being sued repeatedly for discriminatory policies and practices. A wise person once said, "It's a distorted mind that thinks oneself higher or lower than another human being." Some companies have paid millions of dollars to settle lawsuits because of the distorted belief systems of their leaders. If you are doing trainings to teach your staff about racism, sexism, ageism, and discriminating against differently abled people, make sure the trainings address, it should be addressed, dysfunctional unconscious beliefs that generate the discriminatory behaviors. It's hard to fight an invisible enemy. Another wise person said, it's a terrible thing when you're stealing from yourself or your company and you don't realize something is missing. Stop getting sued and losing business because of a false sense of superiority. So here are some strategies to help people who struggle with this dysfunctional unconscious belief, the strategies to address the behaviors associated with the dysfunctional belief. For the behavior of expecting people to accept discriminatory policies, practices, and procedures, a strategy is to deconstruct your company's policies, practices, and procedures and make changes ASAP. Hire a consultant to help you if necessary. For the behavior of expecting people to act as if the discriminatory policies, practices, and procedures don't exist, stop insulting people's intelligence and listen to them when they voice their concerns. For the behavior of expecting people to act as if they don't believe they are entitled to certain rights, opportunities, and privileges as others, or they are violating an unspoken code of conduct, listen to your people. Listen to your people. And I'm going to say it one more time. Listen to your people. Some of them are planning to jump ship this week or next week. That's right. It's some people who've been slowly moving their personal items out of their office. They put one item a day in their briefcase or purse. They're leaving. They've already accepted another position. They're getting ready to jump ship because of discriminatory policies, practices, and procedures at the company they work at. Some of them have already consulted an attorney. Now, some people will just leave, and the cost of turnover is high. There are some people who are leaving, but they're leaving with some money. So they've already consulted an attorney. They've been documenting the discriminatory practices for the past year at your company, if this applies to you. Hire a consultant to help you do damage control before you get sued again in some cases. I was watching a news clip about a rally that was happening in a particular city related to an incident that occurred. And based on two people who were at the microphone, I said, well, you're getting ready to get sued. It was a particular city. And I said, yep, you're getting ready to get sued again. Hire a consultant to help you do damage control so you can stop paying millions of dollars in lawsuits and losing good people. For the behavior of expecting people to act as if they don't know the law or as if they don't know they have rights, make sure your managers, supervisors, and leaders know the law with regards to people's rights. Fire the managers, supervisors, and leaders who look for loopholes in the law so they can mistreat people. So these are the people who know they're breaking the law and they keep doing it. You're going to have to get rid of them. If they refuse to change, they won't pay any attention to the corrective action plans that you've given them. You're going to have to replace them. So that's all for this podcast. If you would like more information about my products, my services, I do 3-hour trainings, 1-day trainings, 2-day trainings, where I break down the beliefs, because there's more than one belief that's under the umbrella of these dysfunctional behaviors that I talk about on my podcast. Feel free to consult me. You can email me at afreeman@AnnesiaConsulting.com. You can also contact me via the contact page on either of my websites, AnnesiaConsulting.com or AnnesiaSpeaks.com. I'm also a motivational speaker with a powerful come from behind victory story. On my AnnesiaConsulting.com website, I have a store page where I sell my workbooks, my cognitive restructuring cards. Feel free to check it out. These are program manuals, these two at the bottom of the screen. This is my program manual for my adult program. This is my program manual for my youth program. Those are not available for purchase for the general public. You have to be a therapist or a counselor and go through a 5-day training. But I do offer the 5-day trainings for people, and I will be doing one soon, and the information will be available on my website. I also have books on my store page. This is the last podcast in my series on improving staff productivity. So check out my next podcast. I will release the first episode on Wednesday, May the 18th of this year, 2022. The topic will be unaddressed issues among staff negatively impact the bottom line. I may change the title of the series, but that will be the subject. So I look forward to seeing you and speaking with you soon.